Alex Stone was a scientist of quiet resolve, a man who had dedicated his life to understanding the cosmos. The world he knew was one of calculated risks, advanced technology, and peaceful progress. In the not-too-distant future, Earth had emerged from the ashes of past conflicts, its nations united by common goals of sustainability, scientific exploration, and shared prosperity. Alex, a leading figure in the field of space exploration, had long dreamed of reaching beyond Earth, of uncovering the secrets hidden among the stars. Yet, nothing had prepared him for the event that would change everything. The day it began, Earth seemed to stand still. An object, a massive metallic shape, was detected entering Earth's atmosphere at a speed far beyond what humanity's most advanced spacecraft could achieve. At first, it was mistaken for an asteroid, though experts quickly ruled that out. Alex, who was in his lab running simulations on quantum propulsion, was among the first to learn the truth. It was no natural object. It was a ship, and it was headed straight for Earth. The news spread like wildfire, and the world watched as the object grew larger, its shape becoming unmistakably artificial. The world's leaders were baffled, uncertain of what to do. Should they welcome this visitor as a potential ally from the stars, or prepare for an invasion? In moments of extreme uncertainty, decisions must be made, and Alex's intellect became a guiding light. His years of research and his deep belief in the goodness of all life were soon put to the test. A week after the first detection, Alex stood at the head of a global council of experts, scientists, military commanders, and political leaders, trying to form a consensus. The council met in a state-of-the-art facility built for exactly this kind of occasion, and yet the room felt thick with unease. "It's impossible to make any predictions," one general said, his hands trembling as he leafed through satellite images. "We know nothing about their intentions. Should we prepare for war?" "War," Alex countered, his voice firm but calm. "We don't even know if they have the capability to harm us. All we know is that they're here, and they've made no sign of aggression, at least not yet." The argument continued, each person giving their opinion. But in the end, it was Alex's voice that cut through the noise. "We must reach out, try to communicate. This may be our first contact with another intelligent species. We cannot let fear dictate our choices." Reluctantly, the council agreed. Alex was appointed to lead a specialized team to attempt communication. He could already feel the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders, but he knew this was a momentous opportunity, one that could either define humanity's future or lead to its downfall. As the days passed, the alien ship hovered over Earth's surface, suspended in the sky like a silent sentinel. It was enormous, far larger than any human-made structure. Its surface was unlike any metal known to Earth's technology, gleaming with an eerie, almost ethereal glow. Alex and his team watched from a secure military base, anxiously waiting for a response to their signal. Finally, it came. A transmission, a language of symbols, patterns, and harmonic frequencies, far beyond anything Alex had ever encountered. It was complex, yet there was a strange order to it. Alex, aided by a team of linguists and cryptographers, immediately set to work deciphering the message. The breakthrough came 2 days later. The transmission, once decoded, revealed an unsettling truth. The aliens were not interested in diplomacy, nor were they offering peace. They demanded Earth's surrender. "We are the Crasians," the message began. "We claim this world as our own. Your species has been deemed unsuitable for stewardship of this planet. Surrender or face the consequences." The Crasians, as they identified themselves, made it clear that they were far more advanced than humanity. Their technology surpassed anything Earth had ever known. They had weapons capable of devastating cities, and they had the means to incapacitate the world's most powerful militaries. But more chilling than their power was their arrogance, an overwhelming belief that their superiority justified their claim to Earth. Alex sat in stunned silence as the transmission ended, his mind raced, trying to process the implications. There was no question that the Crasians had the ability to obliterate humanity, yet their demands didn't come with any explanation as to why they were claiming Earth as their own. Why Earth? Why now? And most pressing of all, why offer no alternative? It was clear that humanity was faced with an existential choice: submit to the Crasians' demands or fight for survival. But Alex had always believed in the power of peaceful coexistence. Could there still be a chance for negotiation? He had to find out. Days later, he traveled to the United Nations headquarters in New York, where world leaders had gathered to discuss the Crasians' ultimatum. It was a tense, secretive meeting, and Alex's presence was both a symbol of hope and a reminder of the immense danger facing them. "We cannot capitulate," the U.S. president said firmly, his voice unwavering. "We are not slaves to any invader, no matter how powerful they may seem. We will fight." A chorus of agreement rang through the room, but Alex, standing at the front, raised a hand to quiet the assembly. "I agree with the president's sentiment," Alex began, his voice steady but filled with a sense of urgency. "But we cannot make this decision based solely on fear. We must consider the possibility of dialogue. There is no honor in surrender, but there may be a way to save ourselves without violence." His words were met with skepticism, but Alex's determination was unwavering. He believed that there was a path to peace, a way to show the Crasians that humanity was not a species to be easily dominated. Yet, as he spoke, a deeper fear began to take root in him. The Crasians had shown no interest in negotiating, only in commanding submission. The global debate raged on for days, and ultimately, humanity was forced into a corner. The Crasians gave Earth an ultimatum: surrender within 2 weeks, or they would begin abducting human leaders and scientists to demonstrate their power. As the deadline loomed, Alex's fear grew. He could not shake the feeling that the Crasians were not just conquerors, but executioners in disguise. And yet, he couldn't let go of the hope that some way, some miracle might turn the tide. Alex spent sleepless nights running simulations, studying alien technology, and pondering what would mean to submit. For him, there was no question that humanity could not bend to such domination. Freedom was the core of humanity's identity. But how could they fight against such overwhelming force? The section ends on this precipice. Alex is torn between hope for a peaceful resolution and the growing realization that humanity might have to face the Crasians in battle. His thoughts echo in the silence of his lab. Will we find a way to survive, or will we be crushed under the weight of their demands? The fate of Earth hinges on the next decision, one that will shape the future of humanity. The days following the Crasians' ultimatum were filled with tension. World leaders debated furiously in every corner of the Earth. The countdown to submission had begun, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. For Alex Stone, the urgency was palpable. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on his shoulders. Was there any chance of negotiating with the Crasians, or was war the only option left? As Earth's governments wrestled with these questions, Alex made a decision. He would no longer wait for the Crasians to offer peace. It was time to act. The only way humanity could survive was by finding a way to resist, not by force, but through ingenuity. They had to leverage the one thing the Crasians likely underestimated: humanity's ability to think creatively in the face of adversity. Alex began assembling a team of scientists, engineers, and military tacticians. They would work together to find a way to strike back. But this wouldn't be a traditional military fight. It would be a war of wits. They had to outsmart the Crasians, exploiting their weaknesses before they could be crushed underfoot. One of the first to join Alex's team was Sarah Hawkins, a brilliant cryptographer and a close friend of his. Sarah had a sharp mind and a passion for puzzles, which made her an invaluable asset when it came to decoding the Crasians' communications. She had been instrumental in breaking their initial transmission, and Alex trusted her more than anyone else. "Do you think there's still a chance to communicate with them?" Sarah asked as they sat in a secure underground facility, surrounded by computers and screens filled with alien data. "I don't know," Alex admitted, "but I think we have to assume they've made up their minds. I can't see them offering us anything else. We have to be ready to fight, on our terms." Sarah nodded. "What's the plan?" "We start small," Alex replied. "We learn everything we can about their technology, every piece of data, every scrap we've intercepted. Then we begin building our resistance, but it won't be with conventional weapons. We need to think differently." With Sarah by his side, Alex began assembling the rest of the team. There was Liam, a former military strategist who had spent years studying unconventional warfare. His insight into tactics would be crucial in coordinating their efforts. There was also Dr. Kira Johnson, a bioengineer who specialized in adapting alien technologies for human use. If the creation's technology could be harnessed, it might just be humanity's key to survival. Together, this team of disparate experts worked day and night, analyzing the creation's tech, which was more advanced than anything Earth had ever seen. The ship's energy sources were unlike anything humanity could comprehend. The weapons, too, were terrifying, nearly instantaneous and destructive. But as Alex pored over every document, every piece of intercepted data, something became clear to him. The creations were confident, too confident. They're not as invulnerable as they think, Alex murmured to Sarah one evening. Their arrogance blinds them. We're not dealing with an omnipotent force. If they were truly infallible, they wouldn't have given us any time at all. They'd have struck immediately. Sarah looked at him, her eyes narrowing with understanding. You think they're giving us time for a reason? I do, Alex said. They're testing us. They want to see what we'll do. They probably think we'll bend, that we'll cower. But that's where they're wrong. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. The team worked in secret, gathering data, reverse engineering technology, and developing a plan to strike back at the creation's weak points. Alex knew that they had no chance of matching the creation's technological superiority head-on. But if they could destabilize the creation's communications and control systems, they could create enough chaos to give humanity a fighting chance. We're not trying to beat them with weapons, Alex explained to the team during a late-night meeting. We're going to outsmart them, disrupt their systems, take control of their information, and weaken their grasp on Earth. The first breakthrough came when Sarah discovered an anomaly in the creation's communication protocol. It wasn't much, but it was a crack in the armor. Over the next several days, Sarah and her team managed to decode a crucial weakness in the alien encryption system. They could intercept and manipulate their signals. It was small, but it was a start. This is it, Sarah said one evening, her voice filled with excitement. We found the key. Liam, ever the strategist, leaned over her shoulder. What's the next move? We created a version, Sarah replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. We flood their communications with false signals, disrupt their internal systems. It's risky, but it's the best chance we have of getting their attention. Alex stood back, watching as his team moved with urgency and precision. He knew the odds were against them, but for the first time since the creation's arrival, he felt a spark of hope. Humanity might have been facing an impossible challenge, but they weren't giving up. They were fighting back. The following days saw the beginning of the Resistance's first operation. Alex's team had developed a plan to sabotage one of the creation's reconnaissance drones, a small but crucial part of their operation. They would strike fast, using their own newly adapted technology to slip past the creation's defenses. If they succeeded, it would send a powerful message. Humanity wasn't just going to roll over and surrender. Under the cover of darkness, the team moved out. Alex's heart pounded in his chest as he followed Sarah, Liam, and Dr. Johnson to the underground launch site. The air was thick with tension, but there was no turning back now. The drone was located deep in a remote area, its defenses tight, but not impenetrable. It had been tracking Earth's atmospheric conditions, a seemingly innocuous task that the creations used to monitor human movements. But Alex knew this was their opening. The plan was simple. Infiltrate the drone's network, feed it false data, and disable before the creations realized what had happened. As they approached the drone's location, Alex's mind raced. The success of this mission was crucial. If they failed, the creations would retaliate and humanity's chances would diminish greatly. Ready? Alex asked, his voice a whisper. Sarah gave him a determined nod. Let's do this. They worked quickly, moving in silence as they connected their devices to the drone's communication hub. Alex felt the tension rise as he watched the countdown clock. They were running out of time. Every second felt like an eternity. Then, as if the world held its breath, the drone systems began to flicker. The signal was disrupted. The feed went dead. We did it, Sarah breathed, her eyes wide with disbelief. But Alex wasn't celebrating yet. The job wasn't finished. They had bought themselves time, but the creations would soon realize the disruption. The resistance had made its first strike, but the real battle was just beginning. As they retreated into the shadows, Alex knew that their victory, though small, was significant. It was a first sign that humanity could fight back. They weren't helpless. They weren't alone. And that was the most powerful weapon of all. The team had done it. They had made their first move. The resistance had begun. The success of the first operation sent shockwaves through Alex's team, but the victory was short-lived. While they had temporarily disabled a key Krasian's reconnaissance drone, the larger threat remained, looming unstoppable and growing stronger with each passing day. The Krasians weren't the type to ignore an affront, and Alex knew they would retaliate with force. They had no choice but to continue their efforts, and the pressure mounted on every member of the resistance. Alex sat in the makeshift command center, a dimly lit room deep within the facility, staring at the holographic map of the Krasians' movements. The drone disruption had been successful, but the aliens had immediately begun to tighten their defenses, focusing all their attention on Earth's communications grid. The window for any further strikes was closing rapidly. How long before they find out about the sabotage? Liam's voice cut through the tense silence. He was standing across the room, eyes scanning the data streams that flickered across the screens. Not long, Alex answered grimly. They'll be able to pinpoint where the breach came from. They'll increase their patrols, and the window for any further operations will shrink by the hour. But there's one more chance. Another gamble, huh? Liam raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. This one's bigger, Alex said, his eyes narrowing in thought. We've been going about this piecemeal, but we need to hit them harder. If we can break their control systems on a larger scale, we might force them into a retreat, or at least stall their plans. The team gathered around, the air thick with a mixture of apprehension and resolve. Sarah, as always, was the first to voice the questions that had been running through their minds. Can we even pull it off? Their infrastructure is too advanced. We're talking about an entire interstellar operation with systems designed to withstand threats far greater than anything we can throw at them. Alex met her gaze. That's why we're going to target their command vessel, the Vanguard. It's their flagship, the heart of their operations here on Earth. If we can infiltrate it and plant a virus inside their command systems, we could disable everything they're using to track, communicate, and control their forces. We'll cripple them. The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. The Vanguard was not just a ship. It was the core of the Krasians' operation. The idea of infiltrating it seemed like a suicide mission. Yet, Alex's belief in humanity's ingenuity drove him forward. He knew the only way to buy time, to give humanity a fighting chance, was to take this bold step. We don't have the luxury of time, Alex said, his voice resolute. We'll need everything we've got. We'll infiltrate their communication network, disable their tracking systems, and destabilize their weapons control. We'll have one shot. We can't fail. Liam cracked his knuckles, a wry smile playing at the corners of his lips. Well, I've always wanted to die doing something spectacular. This seems like a good opportunity. Sarah let out a sigh. We're really doing this, huh? Yep, Alex said, meeting her eyes. We are. The plan was set into motion almost immediately. Dr. Kira Johnson, who had been working on reverse engineering alien technology, identified an opportunity. The Krasians' vessel wasn't just a ship. It was a mobile command center with multiple weak spots in its external security systems. Alex's team would need to infiltrate from the outside and breach its command center using a stealth-based approach. They couldn't risk alerting the Krasians to their presence, or they would be wiped out before they even had a chance to act. The team spent the next few days preparing. The plan would be delicate, requiring precise coordination. The risks were astronomical, and every member of the team knew it. Still, they worked in harmony, each person understanding their role and the importance of their contribution. The gravity of their task brought them closer together, cementing their resolve. It was the night before the mission that Alex found himself alone in his quarters, staring out of the small window at the darkened sky. The world was quiet, but the weight of humanity's fate rested heavily on his shoulders. He thought of the families, the children, the lives at stake. And then he thought of the Krasians, their arrogance, their certainty that they could take Earth without consequence. They underestimated humanity's will to survive. Sarah's voice broke his reverie as she entered his quarters. "You look like you're preparing for a funeral," she remarked, sitting down beside him. "I'm just thinking about everything on the line," Alex replied quietly. "If this doesn't work, we may never get another chance." "We'll make it work," Sarah said confidently. "We have no choice. It's now or never." Alex smiled at her. "You always know how to give a pep talk. You're right, though. We don't have a choice." With the final preparations made, the team set out the following evening, under the cover of darkness. The Vanguard hovered high above Earth, its sleek form a stark contrast to the quiet beauty of the night sky. It was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a reminder of how small humanity seemed in the face of such advanced technology. The infiltration team consisted of Alex, Sarah, Liam, and Kira, with backup support from a handful of engineers who had worked tirelessly on hacking the Crasian systems from a remote command center. They boarded a small, heavily modified transport shuttle designed to avoid detection by the Crasian sensors. With each passing minute, Alex's heart beat faster, the finality of their mission settling in. This was their only chance. As they approached the Vanguard, Alex felt the weight of the moment. They were entering the unknown, facing a seemingly invincible enemy. If they failed, it would be over, not just for them, but for the entire planet. Inside the Vanguard, the team moved swiftly and silently, using the modified shuttle's cloaking device to slip past the Crasians' outer defenses. They reached the vessel's docking bay and infiltrated the mainframe through an overlooked access point. Every step was calculated, every movement deliberate. Alex's eyes never strayed from the task at hand. He could feel the Crasians' presence everywhere, their intelligence, their technology. But he also knew that humanity had something they didn't, a fighting spirit that couldn't be easily extinguished. "We're in," Sarah whispered as they reached the main control room. Kira moved to the control terminal, quickly interfacing with the alien system. "I'm initiating the virus now," she said, her voice tense but steady. The seconds felt like hours as Kira typed furiously, bypassing alien firewalls and security protocols. Then, the screen flickered and a hum filled the room. "Done," Kira said, her face breaking into a grin. "We've planted the virus. Their entire communication grid is down. We bought some time." But just as hope flickered, a siren echoed through the ship. The Crasians had detected the breach. "Time's up," Alex said grimly. "Move now." With the ship systems crashing down around them, the team sprinted toward the extraction point. Their plan had succeeded, but the Vanguard was not going to let them escape easily. The chase had begun. The section ended with the team on the run, their escape uncertain, but the stakes clearer than ever. Humanity had struck back, but the battle was far from over. The sirens of the Vanguard blared in an unrelenting chorus, signaling the failure of their mission's subtlety. Alex's heart raced as the metallic walls of the alien ship seemed to close in on him. They had done it. They had infiltrated the command center, disabled the Crasians' communications, and planted the virus. But now they were running for their lives, with every alien on the ship hunting them down. The Crasians' relentless pursuit was inevitable. They weren't going to let this breach go unpunished. "Keep moving," Alex shouted, his voice barely audible over chaos. The team moved as one, pushing to the cold, sterile hallways of the Vanguard, adrenaline surging through their veins. Liam took the lead, his military training kicking in. "There's a maintenance hatch up ahead. It's our best shot at evading them. Get ready." Alex nodded. They had no other choice but to fight for their lives now. The enemy was too strong, too well prepared, but humanity had learned something vital in the last few weeks. They could adapt, they could survive. Sarah and Kira followed closely behind, their faces set with grim determination. Sarah's usual calm demeanor had been replaced by a sharp focus, her eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. Kira, usually reserved in her technical brilliance, was now all action, every movement purposeful. The maintenance hatch loomed ahead, but as they neared it, the ship's internal alarms grew louder, and Alex heard the unmistakable sound of Crasian's footsteps closing in on them. There was no more time to waste. "Move faster," Liam urged. As they reached the hatch, Kira immediately got to work, her fingers flying over the control panel. But the alien system wasn't going to give them an easy escape. The The interface was foreign, its logic unfathomable, yet Kira didn't hesitate. "I need a few seconds." Kira gritted out, sweat dripping down her forehead. Alex could hear the distant pounding of footsteps, the Crasians closing in. Their movements were methodical, coordinated. They would leave no escape route untouched. "Make it fast," Alex said, the urgency in his voice cutting through the tension. Suddenly, Kira cursed under her breath. "The system's encrypting itself. This is going to take longer than I thought." Alex felt his pulse quicken, his mind racing for a solution. He couldn't afford to lose Kira now, not when they were so close to success. "We need a distraction," he said, glancing at Liam. "Can you create one?" Liam didn't hesitate. "Leave it to me." He moved quickly to the nearest junction box, pulling out a series of tools from his utility belt. Within moments, sparks flew as he rewired the control panel. "I've triggered a small overload in their security system. They'll have to reroute their response time." The moment the overload hit, the entire ship seemed to shudder as if it had been struck. The Crasians' footsteps faltered for a moment, but it was enough. Kira's eyes glowed with the satisfaction of success as a maintenance hatch clicked open with a hiss. "Let's go!" she shouted, diving through the opening. Alex followed closely, with Liam and Sarah right behind him. They moved quickly through the dark maintenance tunnels, their movements quiet but frantic. The Vanguard was an enormous, labyrinthine ship, and they had to trust that they knew the escape routes well enough to make it to the shuttle bay. "We can't stop now," Alex said as they sprinted down the winding corridors. "If they catch up to us, it's over. We need to make it to the shuttle." Sarah, still scanning the area, nodded. "We'll make it." As they moved deeper into the ship, Alex's thoughts were consumed by the enormity of their task. The Crasians had underestimated humanity's resolve, but now, in the face of certain danger, there was no turning back. This wasn't just about sabotage anymore. This was a fight for survival. The team had taken the first step toward weakening the Crasians, but it was clear now that the war was far from over. The tunnel finally opened into a larger chamber, the shuttle bay. The moment they stepped into the room, Alex's stomach dropped. There, sitting in the center of the bay, was a ship that would carry them out of the Vanguard and back to Earth. But it was also surrounded by Crasians, their gleaming forms standing at attention, weapons raised. "They were waiting for us," Liam muttered, his voice a low growl. The Crasians moved forward, their mechanical limbs creaking with each step, their cold, alien faces unreadable. Alex's pulse raced as he turned to his team. Their plan had worked in the sense that they had disrupted the Crasians' communication systems. But the Crasians had recovered quickly. They had anticipated a counterattack. "Stay together," Alex said, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his chest. "We fight our way out." Sarah pulled out a modified blaster, one of the few weapons they had managed to reverse engineer from Crasians' technology. "This won't be easy," she said, her voice tight. "We don't have a choice," Alex replied. "We've come too far to stop now." The Crasians closed in, their weapons raised. They were ready for the final confrontation. But as the tension in the shuttle bay reached its peak, Alex had a moment of clarity. Their objective had always been to get back to Earth. Yet, what if there was another way? What if they could use this confrontation to deal a more decisive blow to the Crasians' plans? "Everyone focus," Alex shouted, his voice carrying through the chaos. "We need to disable their ship. We can't just escape. We have to ensure they can't follow us. Kira, can you overload the ship's power systems from here?" Kira's eyes darted to the control panel, her fingers already moving. "I think I can trigger a meltdown from this point, but I'll need time." The Crasians, sensing their moment of victory, advanced even further, but Alex didn't flinch. "Sarah, Liam, cover Kira. We're not leaving until we've sealed the deal." The firefight erupted in a torrent of light and sound. Alex could feel the heat of the blast as Sarah's modified weapon cracked through the Crasians' defenses. Liam moved with precision, creating a temporary barrier with whatever tools he had at hand, blocking the Crasians' return fire. Kira worked feverishly, her hands a blur as she typed commands into the terminal. Almost there, just a few more seconds, Kira gritted through clenched teeth. The Crasians were relentless, and they were closing in faster. Alex's heart thundered in his chest. His mind raced with 100 thoughts, but the one that stood out was this. There was no going back. This fight had to end now. Suddenly, there was a loud crack, and the ground beneath them trembled. The power systems overloaded, and the ship's lights flickered. The Crasians froze for a moment, momentarily distracted by the disturbance. Alex seized the opportunity. "Move!" he shouted. The team dashed toward the shuttle, their escape imminent. Just as they reached the transport, the Vanguard escort erupted with a deafening roar, sending shock waves through the bay. The Crasians, now in disarray, struggled to recover as the ship's systems began to fail. As the team boarded the shuttle, the doors sealed shut, and Alex took one final look at the Vanguard, now burning in the distance. They had done it. They had struck a decisive blow against the Crasians. But even as they ascended into the sky, escaping their captors' reach, Alex knew this battle was only the beginning. Humanity had survived, for now, but the war for the future of Earth was far from over.